Hello guys. Welcome to Diablo the Primordial 2.0. This video is the continuation video after the Demon's Curse. So if you have not watched it, then please watch it. The link is in the description. And please check out my second channel Anime Sum Up for the amazing recaps of different anime. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates. Could you spare me some coin? She asked with widened eyes. Rimuru smiled and took out a few coins to give her. Here you go. Share it with your friends. The girl tilted her head. Oh, okay. And with that, she ran along. Jack, an 11-year-old orphan, was watching from afar as he saw Alice run from their target and over to him. Did you find where she hid her money? No, I only saw her hand move behind her cloak. She then gave the money to him. You did a good job today. After we're done with this, let's all buy some good food. He pat her on the head, making her smile. Yeah. His other companions cheered. They had eyed the pretty lady when she had landed ashore, and paid more attention when she sold her goods. It turned out she was very stacked. All they had to do was rob her to get some good food. They planned how they were going to take it from her. It involved some distraction with the others, and would end with him dashing to her side and snatching her pouch when she was distracted. Alright. Let's set out. They ran towards Rimuru, and did their best to catch her attention without rousing her suspicion. When Jack found an opportunity, he hesitated, before reminding himself of the orphanage. The morgue moths had been a plague to their orphanage for some time. They always demanded protection money and left very little for the orphans. It was a miserable sight to see. Some of the kids were starving. If he were to back out now, then that would mean he'd abandon his brothers and sisters. No, he couldn't ever let that happen. He grit his teeth and activated his skill, Shadowfoot. He quickly weaved through the crowd and made grasping motion towards the woman's cloak. Just a few more inches and he'd be able to buy them all food. All the thoughts that were running through his mind were suddenly halted the moment when the woman grasped his arm. He could see the shock and horror on the faces of his brethren. He broke in a cold sweat. Was the money I gave you not enough? The woman looked down to him, smiling ominously. His face quickly paled. She knew. She somehow knew. Just as they'd been observing her, she'd been eyeing them as well. No normal person could see through his Shadowfoot. The only way she could have detected him was either through a skill or with magic. His heart was suddenly filled with dread. Let go of him. Jack turned his head to a familiar voice. It belonged to one of the orphanage's caretakers, Sister Orly. Why should I let go of someone who is in the position of trying to snatch my pouch? The woman's melodic voice gripped his heart even further. He turned to see the sister give him a stern stare. Orly then revised her words. Please, let go of him. Our orphanage will repay you for your inconveniences. Just please don't hurt him. Instantly, the fear in his heart was replaced with guilt and regret. He knew that when she would take it, there would be no money left for anyone. Everyone would starve. All because of him. Wait. Do what you want with me. Just leave the orphanage alone. No. Everyone turned to Alice, who was backed by the other orphans. Alice? Kids. Why are all of you here? The sister demanded an explanation. Alice ignored her and ran towards the woman, and begged to leave Jack. We're really sorry. We were the ones at fault for stealing. Please forgive us. At this point, the commotion had become noticeable to the crowd. Some were even pointing at them. Because of Alice's outburst, the crowd found out what happened. Some were clicking their tongues, saying that they had it coming, while some were looking at them with sympathy. But none approached them. They were all just waiting to see how all of it would unfold. Why don't we go somewhere else for a change? Like the orphanage? The woman grabbing him suddenly suggested. He no longer faced anyone, only looking to the floor. He fucked up hard. He clenched his hands into fists. He messed up, and now they were the ones paying for it. It was so unfair. Life was so unfair. Alright. Please follow me. The Rainlotus Orphanage was a half-wooden, half-stone-made building that looked out too long out of maintenance. Rimuru could see vines crawling through the stone cracks and termites crawling through the wooden holes. Childlike chatter could be heard from the inside. The orphanage sister walked up to the entrance and opened it for him. Please come inside. However, before Rimuru could walk in, a man in armor came out. Hey Orly, welcome back. Johnson was a member of the Port Town's guards. He was orphaned since a very young age, and spent his younger days in the orphanage along with his friends. Among them was the caretaker Orly Johnson. What a surprise to see you. Though she said that, he was able to detect her distress. He looked over to the kids. The younger ones were puffy-eyed, while the older ones were bowing their heads dejectedly. He saw the troublemaker Jack have a dark look on his face, standing next to a cloaked stranger. What's going on? Well, you see. After listening to the explanation, that being them trying to steal from the stranger alongside them, the guard became angry at the children. How could you do this? Why are you being so reckless? Do you realize the consequences of your actions? Hearing Johnson babble on about how wrong they were, and how they should behave, made Jack so angry that he lashed out. If you were doing your job correctly, then none of this would have happened. That shut the guard up. Do you even know that those damned morgue moths have been stealing money from the orphanage? That some of us haven't even eaten for days. He took a step back, before turning his gaze to the sister, who looked away. We couldn't tell you, because they threatened to burn the orphanage, and kidnap and sell off the kids if we told the guards. Tears dropped from the sister's eyes as she hid them with her hands and started shaking. We had no other choice. The gang had too many backings. We could only give them what they asked. It was true. While the gang was very notorious in their area, they were backed up by higher powers. The types that not even the town's mayor could go after. Johnson clenched his teeth. He had failed to notice. He had failed to help them. The whole reason he joined the garrison in the first place was to protect the orphanage. If he couldn't even do that, then he was just nothing but a failure. Suddenly, screams could be heard from the port. Everyone looked over to see some foreign ships baying. The sounds of shouts and battle could be heard from here. Shit. Pirates. As the vice captain of one of the garrison squads, he had to move. He turned over to the orphanage members. I'm sorry I wasn't there for any of you when you needed me. After I come back, I will try to rectify for my absence and help you the best I can. He then turned towards Jack and placed a hand on him. You were right, Jack. I'm sorry for yelling at you. I am a failure for not being able to protect you guys. Jack wiped the tears coming out of his eyes. No. It wasn't your fault. You were just looking out for us. Sorry. Johnson turned towards the cloaked woman. Ma'am, I apologize, but I have to ask you to please wait until I return, before sorting out your problem. The woman fortunately nodded. She smiled and said, All right. I'll hold you to it. After giving his thanks, he quickly ran to the commotion. Things are starting to get hectic, Seal. Agreed. You think the moth somethings have anything to do with this? Morgue moths, that is most probable. He had been itching for some action. Of course, he wouldn't even use a millionth of his power. That would be too easy. Instead, he would use human-level swordsmanship to fight his way through. And what better way to start with the Blondie from earlier? Hey Blondie, remember me? Goran was running with some members to help aid pirates, when he suddenly heard someone shout. He looked over to see that, in front of the orphanage was the blue-haired bitch from earlier. He grinned and signaled his mates to follow him. Well, I knew you couldn't resist me. He decided he would capture her in the middle of the commotion, and have fun with her later. What are you doing? Have you gone mad? Jack screamed at the crazy lady. The woman ignored him and took a fighting stance. Get her, boys. The boy saw the men charged at her, trying to grab onto her, and heard multiple things snap. The men bends in an unnatural angle as it was clear that they had their bones broken. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you guys have not watched my other videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.